Alright, this video is for Module 15 on determining aggregate price level, or the overall level of prices. So the first thing that we have to talk about is that to actually determine the overall level of prices, we have to talk about what is in our market basket. So our market basket is going to be a set of purchases of goods and services. So think of it, I have a literal picture of a basket here. So think of it as whatever we are going to include that we're talking about checking the average price of. How much did the prices change? If you're talking about, and we'll talk about in a little bit as far as different price indexes, but for example, if you're talking about the consumer price index, that's going to be where our market basket is going to be for the average American household. What are some of the things that they buy? So think of it kind of as this virtual shopping cart. And so what are some of the things we're going to put in our shopping cart, and we're going to be checking how the price level changes over time. So the price index is basically this idea of a price index is the changes in the cost of buying that basket in a given year from a base year. So in other words, if these are the things that I'm buying, okay, so the price index is looking at the changes that it costs me to be able to buy it from this year compared to a base year of maybe 1986. Okay, that would be what a price index is. So in order to find a price index for a given year, you have to take the cost in the market basket for that given year, the total market basket cost. So add up all of the prices of everything in here. So for example, there may be tomatoes in here. I have to multiply it by 3 because I have 3 tomatoes and 3 potatoes and a box of cereal and whatever else is in here. I have to add that all up and divide it by the cost of the market basket for a base year, and then multiply it by 100. Now I will tell you, the price index is not a percent. It will end up being a number over 100, and that's okay. And that is going to be used to determine the inflation rate. So if you remember the inflation rate, this equation I gave you in the last video when we talked about inflation and how to determine inflation. So inflation is the price level of year 2 minus the price level of year 1 divided by the price level of year 1 multiplied by 100. Well, in the last video I told you that I wasn't telling you how to determine the price level. Well, now we know how to determine the price level. Price level is a price index. So we're taking the price index of the year 2 minus the price index of year 1 divided by the price index of year 1. That's all we're doing. So let's work through an example. Here's our practice problem. So I give you some information. We're going to say that our market basket in this case is 3 things: popcorn, movies, and diet drinks. So, yep, we're going to the movies. So here's what I want you to do is I want you to determine the price index for each year using year 1 as the base year. So I have year 1 and I have year 2. So in order to determine the price index, we first have to figure out how much totally am I spending on each of these items, and then add them all up to be able to get the cost of my market basket. So all I'm doing, for example, is I'm multiplying 500 times 3 to get a total spending of 1,500. For movies, I'm multiplying 300 times 5 to get a total spending again of 1,500. For diet drinks, I'm multiplying 300 times 1 to get a total spending of 300. And now I'm going to add all 3 of these together to be able to get my market basket. The cost of my market basket in this case is 1,500 plus 1,500 plus 300, which should give us 3,300. Now for year 2, I have to do the same thing. I have to multiply across. So 500 times 4 will give us total spending of 2,000. 300 times 10 will give us total spending of 3,000. 300 times 2 will give us total spending of 600. And then I have to add them all up to get the cost of my market basket. So 2,000 plus 3,000 plus 600 will give us cost of market basket is 5,600. Okay. Now that I got my total, what my total market basket costs, now I can actually determine my price index. And remember from the last slide I showed you that the price index is going to be taking the price of the year that you're interested in divided by the base year. And I told you in the directions that I'm using year 1 as my base year. So what I'm doing is I'm going to take for year 1, okay, the year I'm interested in, I'm to determine the price index. I have to take the year I'm interested in. The total cost of the market basket is 3,300, and I'm dividing by the base year, which is also year 1, so it's 3,300. So 3,300 divided by 3,300 times 100 will tell you the price index for year 1 is 100. And you will always find that the price index for the base year will always be 100 because you're basically going to divide by the same number and multiply by 100. So now let's do for year 2. So for year 2, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take 5,600, which is the total cost of my market basket in year 2, divided by the base year market basket, which is 3,300. So 5,600 divided by 3,300 times 100 will give us a price index of 170. So now the second question is determine the inflation rate from year 1 to year 2. So now in order to do that, what I have to do is I have to take the price index from year 2, 170, minus the price index of year 1, which is 100, and divide by 100, and then multiply by 100, and that'll give me a 70% increase. Yes, that's crazy inflation. But I was trying to give you really easy numbers. So that's why I have crazy inflation. But remember, inflation rate is going to be the price index of year 2 minus the price index of year 1 divided by the price index of year 1. Now, inevitably, I had somebody that asked me, well, is it always going to be 100? Am I always going to be dividing by 100? Because if that's the case, then I can just cancel out these 100s. Well, actually, no, because it depends upon, I could be talking about the inflation rate from years that is not including the base year. So let's, for example, throw in a year 3, and I'm not going to go through the process of multiplying out the total spending. I already did the math for you. So we're going to say the total spending of year 3 is $9,400. Okay, so now what happens is that let's figure out, before we can get to the inflation rate, now we have to figure out the price index for year 3. So year 3, I have to take the total cost of my market basket, which is 9,400, and I have to divide by 3,300. So I'm determining the inflation rate from year 2 to year 3. So I have to find the price index, so for year 3, and I ran out of room down here, so I moved it up here. So 9,400, which is the year I'm interested in, divided by the base year, cost of the market basket. Remember, year 1 is still our base year, so divided by 3,300, multiplied by 100. So 9,400 divided by 3,300 times 100 will give us 285. So now to figure out the inflation from year 2 to year 3, I have to take 285, which is our year we're going from year 2 to year 3, I have to take 285 minus 170, 285, which is our price index for year 3, minus 170, which is the price index for year 2, divided by 170, which is the price index for year 2, multiplied by 100, gives me an inflation rate of 68%. Again, terrible inflation, but I'm trying to make a point and make it easy numbers for you, so that's the reason why. Okay, hopefully this makes sense. I do encourage you to try out the practice problem that I have on Canvas. So if you go on Canvas, on the bottom underneath handouts, I have the price index worksheet practice. If you pull that up, it has you practice some more price indexes, and underneath I do have the answer key, so I'd encourage you to check that out. All right, I will stop this video for now, and the next video is going to be talking about price indexes. Let me know if you have any questions.